God is moving. It's Young People Nation.
Welcome to Young People Nation. Listen to us weekly as we commit to bring transparency, healing, and truth to the everyday situations in life that might bring you down. Join us for your weekly dose of inspiration. Thank you for listening to Young People Nation. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And now, here's your host, Eugene and Donna Perry.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Giving the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross.
Well, welcome to session 3 of Young People Nation. And we are back with Kenya and Tiffany Hodge.
Hello.
All right.
Hello. This couple has individual and collective movements in the community. I love that about them. And Kenya is out there being transparent as a man who is from New York.
That's correct.
And open about his life process. And that is something our young men need to know. He is very passionate about building our young men and starting with his own sons.
That's right. That's where it starts.
Amen.
That's right.
Amen.
And Tiffany is a very, very, very effective master social worker, and her wisdom through Tiffany Empowers LLC. She is a very present wife and mother. Mm-hmm. And I just love y'all whole movement.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. You could just watch from the stands. Be like, this couple's moving. You know, and
All
then,
right.
then when you get to talk to you guys, that's bonus.
Oh, amen.
Appreciate it.
Well, session 3, now they can talk to a lot of couples about this. Blended family boundaries. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how did you all start or make plans before making the decision to get married? And this was a woman who already had 2 daughters.
Yes.
So let's unpack that. How did you start and make plans?
I didn't.
Hey,
I did
that's
not.
what we want.
I literally walked into the situation with just one tool, which was, growing up, I was a counselor, summer camp counselor.
Okay.
And that was my only experience that I was walking into the situation with. Mm-hmm. It's only the grace of God, really, that kind of brought me in and to where I am today. It really was just God leading the foolish, honestly. Because I didn't plan that. I literally that was the only tool in that toolbox was, how do I deal with these kids? Okay, let me try to deal with them the best way I know how, which was to be a camp counselor.
Okay. So you took the camp counselor skills
that's
and
what I
got to
had.
work. But you had something.
Yeah.
I mean, because, you walk literally, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know these kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I like their mama. We're going to see where this goes. But I would say, got little cousins, but that's family.
Right.
Nah, so literally the only experience I had with dealing with kids that I may need to be a figure for was camp counselor.
Okay.
That's good. Took
Yeah.
that little bit.
Yeah, that's
and
all I
use
had.
it.
I
love
That's
it.
all I had.
I love it.
That's pretty good. That is
That's
really
funny.
She
good.
is blowing up over here.
I don't know if she ever heard it or not, but
I've never heard him
it's the truth.
talk about it like that. Like I'm just a camp counselor. And
Yeah.
I just walked in. But you were an amazing camp counselor.
Thank you.
And so I appreciate you walking in with that little bit of knowledge that you had and sticking through. And now look at you. You're a master camp counselor.
Yeah.
All right.
He said, yeah.
All right. Okay. There was no decision in like, we didn't plan none of this. Like, to his point, there was no plan. There was nothing. And I appreciate you saying God just leading the foolish. And that's really what it was. And we really had to learn. If we planned anything, you better learn how to lean on God in this, because if y'all keep leaning on your own understanding, this ain't going to go nowhere.
Okay.
Okay. And so there was no plan. we just really enjoyed each other, and we were good friends. We had fun together, and we just knew that I knew that we got to do something a little different, even if we didn't understand what the difference was. If we're going to be any type of parents pleasing to God's eye, we must do it His way, regardless of how we started. It's not about how we started this thing. It's about how it's going to end. And we have to make some choices here. Because I was pregnant with Joe, right? And we was like, that's cool. And then I got pregnant with Jada, and we was like, whoa, we got to do something a little different for these children to have a fighting chance. Even to bring structure and what marriage looks like to our older two, Brown and Maya, just to bring that structure into them, to let them know that, yes, you can start one way, but you can also end a different way. But they had to know what that looks like. And we were the example of how to set it. Yes. So I think, if anything, we plan to be a better example than what we started off in, if that's answering that.
Man, she makes it sound so good in retrospect. But let me tell you, while we was, I mean, she's absolutely right. Okay. But I'm gonna get the perspective of while we were in it.
Yes.
I mean, it was a lot, because of course my mindset wasn't here, her mindset wasn't where it is now too. So we was dealing with a lot, and just like the young people, we were moving fast.
Right. Yes.
Yeah,
Really. We was moving fast. We're having kids. We already have 2 kids that we're trying to blend.
Right.
So now it's like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? We know what we need to do, but at the same time, it's like, okay, me personally, I come from a 2-parent household, and I've watched them go through things.
Right.
So even though on one hand, I'm like, okay, this is the woman, I don't like saying like baby mama and stuff. This is the woman I'm having kids with.
Right.
I mean, I put more respect on her name.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
That to me is big. That's the woman who I'm having kids with. Ultimately, I do want to be with that. That's what I chose.
Yes.
Right.
Whatever head I decided, that's what I chose.
Yeah.
So on the other hand, I'm like, okay, I got to now make sure that she has the same marital standards that I have.
Right.
So, because that's serious now.
Yes.
So it was a conundrum. I'm just dealing with the world of having a woman with kids, but at the same time, I want to step into something that's godly, but I want to do it right. So it's like, what do I do? Is this even appropriate? I don't want to just marry her for the kids. I don't want to just be like, okay, we're doing this for that, because that's chaos. Dealing with that once again, and then it's like, okay, my thing was, I want to make sure that she's right as far as willing to go the long distance with me.
That's
somebody
good.
who's capable of not quitting. So I had to kind of reduce it all down to these qualities, and then hope that God builds it back up, because that's what all I needed to see. And honestly, I was waiting to see that in her, to where it's like, okay, I just don't want to just jump into it. I want to make sure that we make it. So I need to know that you're going to be here with me. I need to know that. You know what I mean? Through it all, I need to know that, you know what, if we do this, we understand we gonna do this.
Right.
So we did it.
But you know, I want to throw this out here. So for our young ladies, and you men you definitely know, it doesn't take you all long to figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely not. A man's going to do, number one, what's required. And it's not to put it in reference to a woman. It could be anything. It could be the job. It could be a situation, a circumstance. We're going to do what's required. So if we're not showing interest or giving available time, we're basically giving you doing what you allow us to do. So, once we decided, we were going to get married, because I seen it. You know what I mean? And it's not just for looks. You know what I mean? Because honestly, back then, and I never brought this up, I wanted to make sure it's not that you want to marry me to cover your face, showing that, okay, you're still a woman who's having kids with me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Got you.
So it was really me sifting through a lot of weeds You know what I mean? To make sure that, okay, if we're going to do this, we got to have some type of real foundation.
That's good.
Right.
That's good. So was it a problem for you as a man to come into a marriage where there were children and say that you brought the balance?
Well, no, there was no problem with me saying that. It may be a problem with her hearing it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I know what cloth I was cut from. I know what quality man I am. And we should all stand tall in understanding that and profess it. So, you know, not coming in saying that I was the handyman and I made this happen, but it's just in a literal sense of, okay, we came into this situation. Like I said, I'm very purposeful and intentional. So understanding the circumstance and knowing that, you know, these aren't my biological daughters, knowing that she was a single mother. And yeah, we had a long conversations, especially, you know, I told her I need her to sit down and get on the bench and let me get in the game. Because what kind of man am I going to be, or at least get to show you, if you don't, number one, put your trust in me. You know what I mean? Allow me to be dependable or depended on. So that was just between me and her, but especially with the kids, I have to build bonds with them.
Yes.
And I have to understand, okay, growing up in New York, I kind of got a little heads up on it. And how let's see, rambunctious kids can be, especially towards a non-father.
Okay.
And so I thank God that she had 2 girls and not 2 boys.
Okay.
Especially at my young age.
Yeah.
But it took some time. I would say hats off always to stepmothers, stepfathers, stepparents, because it's a certain kind of love, it's a certain type of patience, and you have to literally walk into the situation with a certain kind of understanding.
But you all...
But you brought yourself into the situation, and you remove yourself from being the outsider coming in, and you didn't listen to advice from people that didn't have no experience in that at all. You actually talked to your wife, and y'all came to a agreement, you know. And that's one thing that couples have a problem with, is actually talking the same language to each other and come to a conclusion instead of listen from advice from the outside.
And, you know, looking at you guys, if you had never said anything, I would have never known.
Yeah.
Because your movement as a couple, and I love how, like, when you did your live recently, for one of the podcasts, and your girls was on there, and I was just laughing at their comments.
Yeah.
And so, but that showed me the level of transparency you all have. But
Right, and the trust.
yes, and but when you see the two of you, you all just got 6 kids.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and so, but there are a lot of blended families out there. So how did you Tiffany, as I've gotten to know you, you're a strong woman. You pick up, okay, if I get knocked down here, I'm not gonna stay down.
Right.
I'm gonna get back up. I'm gonna go do this, and that shows. And you going to get your degrees and everything, and doing it on your own until you all made the decision.
And they're in relatively good, excellent health.
Yeah.
They're not pulling their hair out and not walk around.
Oh, she don't believe in that. She not tell, look at
My hair is out.
That was natural though.
that was natural.
It just came down here in gray.
But how were you able to relinquish trust towards him?
I wasn't.
Okay.
It's getting better now. 9 years plus. It's a day to day because again, I'm wired in a way to do it yourself. Just in case. What if it doesn't work? And even though I have no evidence to any of that, so learning how to just literally, not plop all the way down on the bench, but just ease down. And honestly, it might be better to just plop down because you're going to tie out your legs.
And your knees.
And your knees. So
Right.
you just sit down and learning to trust that he is going to do what he said he's going to do. And honestly, it's not to minimize trusting him. It's like, do I trust God enough
Okay.
to do what he said he's going to do through who he sent for me?
Yes.
Can I sift through that just to question what you're saying? Because I'm here, so it's like I seen the development to where it's like, okay, before I met the kids, she made a point. She protected those kids.
Yes.
Right.
We didn't just start dating and hey, here he
These
is.
are my girls.
And that's
Yeah,
one
no.
thing exactly.
Yeah.
That's one thing I respect and to credit her. That was I had to earn that trust.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? She plopped down on that bench. She sure did. She trusts me to be who I need to be for her.
Yes.
That is
But
huge.
my question to you would be: do you think it's more so of on a personal level, the trust?
Yes. Yeah. On a
Because
personal level.
she trusts me. Go ahead. If you ain't worried, I ain't worried.
Oh, that's all. As far as leadership, go forth and prosper.
Yeah,
You know,
Right.
yeah.
Let me know what we're doing.
Right. I got
Because I don't mind not, because I'm a thinker all day, and so even when he came into my life, it took that off of me to have to think about everything. So I trusted him
Right.
in that respect. To his point, personally, absolutely not, because I was just a guarded person. Because I was just taught you must protect yourself at all costs. You must protect the children at all costs. Even if he decides that this is not going to work, you still have to keep things moving. And so to really understand that, again, there's no fact check base to that, Tiffany. So you can't even think that way, because the longer I was thinking that way, we were stagnant. We were having miscommunication. We were having these, what do you mean I can do it by myself? These are the things that I would say. I didn't ask you to come in and do any of that for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Early on in the marriage, it was a lot of that.
it was a lot of that
lot
because
of that.
because I was still in my own personal circle, not willing to fully commit to that inner circle. So relinquishing, understanding that these boundaries that I had to set for myself as an individual single mother for my children, I no longer have to have those. And so now I have to go and sit down and identify each one and take them off. And that takes the time.
Yes.
And so, and every day, even to this day, I'm not 100%, but every day I'm still learning. You can take that off. There's no evidence to why you're still holding on to that as it relates to him. So you can relinquish that.
Yeah, she guards her heart like a fortress. I mean,
Yeah.
literally. I mean, if you picture the castle
Right.
and the moat, and we married y'all, and it's just me coming into the vicinity, and any little step on a twig, it cracks. I see millions of archers ready to shoot down on me. You know what I mean? So
Fire!
yeah, and I understand that, and it was hard to deal with in the beginning because it was like we come to the understanding of the marital boundaries of I believe there is no individualism in the marriage
Yes.
when
There
it
you go.
comes to really understanding what God intended for us to be one.
Right.
So, I'm still trying to find myself and certain things going on. And nothing against anybody who's on that journey, but okay, now that we're in a marriage, resources are being taken out for you to first find yourself as an individual while you're married
Yes.
is almost counterproductive.
Yes.
So it's like even going back to how I was saying, as a single man, now I'm having these kids. It's chaotic. It's catastrophe.
Right.
But how do you get through that? So what I'm saying is fast forwarding, because you may not have got to where you wanted to identify yourself before the marriage. Now we have to do it together with God.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? And we had to go through that, and we still go through that because everybody. I had to learn to respect her journey and respect her path.
Well, on that journey that you're going, you did not bring your friends with you.
No.
Right.
You know,
That's
and a
good.
lot of people can't separate that. I got to go out with the boys because that's our night and all.
I need a break.
Or I'm going on this trip with the fellows and all like that, and leave you home with the 6 kids.
Yep.
That kind of thinking is right off the TV and not in real life. And every time somebody applies that type of atmosphere without the cooperation of your spouse, it leads to problems.
Key word he said is without the cooperation,
Without cooperation.
of your
Right.
spouse.
That's right.
Right.
Because some couples are good with that. They'd be like, yeah, baby, go take a break.
Yeah, and when you come back, ain't nothing left.
Yeah. So when it came to the kids, it was easy for me to relinquish that. But when it came to me, because we agree on how to attend and raise these children.
That's
Right.
good.
That we are like, yes, this is what we're doing,
Yeah,
and
we
we've always been
align
like
with
that.
that
We are in
naturally.
line with that.
That's
so
good.
that is like, yeah, you can run with that.
Yes.
But me, not so much.
Okay.
You see what I'm
so
saying?
you're having to really work on yourself.
Oh, all day.
Yeah,
You
yes.
know, and people don't think therapists have to work on themselves. We have a lot of work.
Yeah, especially all that you take on and
All
then
that we
when you're
take on
living,
and
you
in
know?
our own living.
Yes.
And we are our first teacher.
Right.
We are it, to be in this space. We can't help who we serve if we're still sitting in it.
Okay, got you.
You see what I'm saying?
Not living your truth.
You're not, because we haven't even addressed it. How do we have all these tools and tips and blah blah blah, and I can give it to you, but I can't apply and I can't be transparent with you to say, look, hey, I'm in this too.
Yes.
And I'm working on it every day. I
Yes.
understand what it feels, to have a strong husband and he can go and be that man, and that's what we always pray for. And then we get it and we don't know what to do with it.
Like, ain't nobody that nice. Hold up.
Right.
Ain't nobody that nice.
Right. Ain't nobody that
I'm
nice.
gonna wait for it because you're gonna do something stupid.
Exactly. And you have there's nothing to it. Ain't nobody, God, how can you send somebody that cares for me so much
Yes.
when my whole family didn't?
Yes.
And so you struggle with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, I feel
It's
you,
okay to
babe.
be
I mean,
transparent because that's what we're about here.
Yeah.
It's transparency. And see, that's what I always love about her. She's able to, she's so transparent, And so you all are the parents of 6
Yes.
kids. That's a
Wonderful
blessing.
kids.
Yes. I just love your daughter's personalities. They are so funny. I was
Yeah.
listening to
They
comments. I was like, they are so funny.
They are.
But they are able to be transparent with you.
Yeah.
That's powerful because when your children become adults, you have to parent them from adults.
Yes.
Not from them being little kids.
Yeah, I had to learn that one. Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So learn that through Tiffany too. As parents of 6 children, you all do an amazing job. I love your little girl. She comes with you, and she's sitting there, and she's having firsthand hands-on where she's watching her mother affect the
Right.
community, and she's so ladylike, and that tells you what I see as a little girl that's secure as a young lady, but she's empowered as well.
A mini me.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yes.
Y'all have no idea.
How empowered she is. Right?
So let's talk about the boundaries and the building relationships with your older daughters. And we're almost at the end of our session. And so, but let's talk about that. You all are doing an amazing job. But talk about the building relationships with your older daughters.
Well, that was a journey. It still is. It's just a better journey now. One thing, like I said, growing up young and seeing, the block having kids and the baby mamas and the baby daddies, because I'm saying it in a condescending way, of course.
Right.
I knew how some fathers were good and some fathers weren't attentive. So one thing, I never thought I'd be dealing with a woman who had children.
Okay.
Never ever. It almost was like a standard to hold, but it wasn't like a standard at all. Just didn't ever think about it. So to actually come into a situation, I already had a principle of mine, which is, I'm not here to replace anybody's father. I'm not here to get in the way. Once again, as camp counselor, I'm just here to be a mentor and a role model.
Yes.
And I think me effectively saying that got them to understand and to trust me a lot, and see me as not a number one or a number two or something in sequence, just as, you know what, a bonus. So it was like, okay, I always advocate for fathers because I'm a father, and we ought to be good fathers, and being involved in just subscribing to blended families, we all had to kind of hold each other up.
Yes.
So basically, I always didn't get in the way. You know what I mean? I don't want to have any impression on a child and her biological father. You know what I mean? If anything, hey, you know what I'm saying? Try to encourage it. So, you know, our relationships, it grew better. It really did. They trusted me more as a male figure in their life. You know what I mean? So they really understood, oh yeah, he's not here to try to take nobody out.
Right.
Because, you know, children see their parents, it's innate to be attracted to them and to try to cling to them.
Yes.
So to have mommy bringing in somebody else, especially from a child's perspective, it's going to be resistance. And that's why I said for step parents to go into these situations, you have to be cognitive of the fact that, you know what, these kids are viewing you in a certain light. And
Right.
it's nothing to really hold them against. Like, you know what? They're going to do certain things. They're going to act out of certain ways. And it's not personal. It's not personal.
That's good right there. Don't take it personal.
That's right.
That's good.
And like I said, step parents is just something that we just understand, and that's why we're okay with becoming step parents.
That's good. Miss Tiff, and you and your daughters.
Those are my loves. All of my children are my loves, but those two really helped me in my foolishness, right? To develop to be who is here today in some form. I've always wanted to just have a really open relationship with them, being honest with them, because that's all I've ever had to offer and owe them is really just my honesty and my transparency. Allowing them to build their own relationship with Kenya was very, very important to me, because I can understand, I don't want to interfere with their relationship, because that is a personal relationship that they must build with him. Because there's some things that they may talk to him about that they don't come to talk to me about, and I'm happy that they do that. They get advice from him. So I was in a position to, don't shut him out. Allow him to be who he is for them. Allow to support him in that, because it is difficult. And also letting them know that, when they want to go see their father, they can. It was always in me to not, it was always in me to allow them to have access to their father. That's their relationship. Encourage them to build that relationship with him, in addition to building their relationship with Kenya, because you get the best of both worlds here, and that's a bonus, that's a plus. And it's not to take away from either person, but just making sure that that all parties are respected here. I always try to remain neutral, making sure that Kenya and their father had some form of communication and respect. Because it's not to come in here again, he's taking over his daughters. No, he's here as an addition. And that allow us to blend, not just he and I, but the father.
Yeah, because you got to give credit to, him and his side of the family, because they were welcoming.
Yeah, definitely.
I ain't gonna lie. Me coming from New York, you anticipation the animosity,
right?
But there was none at all from me from jump. I'd see him out in the street, me being like DJing. We crossed paths multiple times, and we actually would talk. It's actually healthy.
Right.
It's no real animosity. Is no pettiness, and that's great. Because nowadays you just see men being petty, and I can't stand that. One thing I will say about bonding with the daughters is, looking back at it, I wish that we could have talked about how you could assist the mother of the children can help assist with the transition of power and authority. Because for so long, the children only knows mommy and who is this guy. So
Right.
when this guy, and I say that purposefully because that's how they look at you, this guy. So who is this guy to tell me?
Right.
And then and when mommy's not really saying something, and is not choosing a side, but is actually articulating and showing that, you know what, you're nudging it to where this is going to become. And I wish that's something that, you know, I knew when I was younger, to ask for that. And that's what I would tell younger couples who's going into blended families. Whoever is the biological parent, you have to escort the authority. It's a must, because when they see a united stance to say, okay, this is what we're doing, and it's healthy,
Yes.
then they will respect it as well.
Yes.
That's good.
So if
That's
they don't,
good.
if they see now, nothing against you, but just saying when the mother, you were quiet for that reasons for us to bond.
Correct. Yeah.
But to usher, like I said, to usher in that authority, it is vocal, and it's like, you know, hey, it's not he's right, but this is how we're going to do it together.
And this is good for, like you said, for couples that are coming in.
Yeah.
Because as the biological mother, you didn't even think about how do I escort the authority in. You're
Right.
just so happy that somebody coming in to help you.
Right.
And he wants to do that. And you're like, okay, that's one less thing on my plate. But to your point, you know, for those that are listening to this, that may be putting themselves in this position, think about that. How am I able to escort? What does that look like, me escorting the step parent into this position with me? What does that transition of power look like for me, for them, and for the children? I think that's an amazing point to put out there. So that's how you can work and process through that.
One of the amazing things that I see that both of y'all have done, y'all did not become the replacement parent.
Right.
And therefore, it was always room for cooperation
Yeah.
That's good.
from the old to the new to what it is at the present, and everybody flow in harmony like a
right.
good record.
Yes.
That's right.
Amen.
You know, and you don't have that cat in the bag feeling one come around, all hell break loose.
All right. Amen.
This has been really good, and I tell you, we'll end up doing more sessions on this, because we talked with a lady yesterday. She said, I need to know when you all are recording that, because there are a lot of blended families.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for us who have never dealt with it, we need to hear from you guys. And this has been rich.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I hope the listening audience is taking the nuggets, the wisdom that they've just heard. Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Well, again, we never know who's listening. This thing can go into a mental health situation if not handled properly.
Real quick.
guys?
Real quick.
So you got the 988 hotline. You got to text 741 to 741. That's free. 24/7 crisis counseling. You also have a 211 for general community resources. And this is, of course, for a hotline for mental health guidance and crisis. So, Mr. Perry.
Yes. Well, with families, there is no competition, for one thing. And through that, you can judge your own self. Am I living the life I need to live, or I'm just existing from day to day? This has been Young People Nation, and remember, there is always hope.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Give the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross. He the #1 prospect. He the top boss. I was broke, I was empty. He the one that paid the cost. Really thought that I was cool. There was nothing like the savior. Now it's time for the truth. The whole world been waiting. It's Young People Nation. 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 The whole world been waiting. Whatever you going through, I know what he gonna do. Don't matter the circumstance, we going back to the root. Keep going. Let that seed keep growing. You need peace and we know it. Now it's time to live holy. Young People Nation. You know what time it is. Young People Nation. Get ready, the time is here. Get ready, we vibing here. We about to let God in here. Young People Nation. It's Young People Nation. Yeah, do it for the heavens, you know where we going. Influenced by his love, you know we gotta show it. It's time to put the youth onto what God is doing. Cause I can tell you now, right now, that God is moving. It's Young People Nation.